Percussion. I am one of your hosts for this CE2 event, Charlotte Entrepreneurs and Espresso. We have proudly been operating for 10 years, and so we're so grateful to Code-Based Co-working for allowing us to utilize this space, and a couple of organizations come together, the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, CIC, Community Investment Collaborative, the CBICS, Charlottesville Business Innovation Council. You see all the acronyms I have to pulled together, and then we're also supported by the Batten Institute at UVA and a couple of other volunteers to thank as well. I'll do so. But for those of you guys, let me see your hand if this is your first time attending CE2. Wow, awesome. Well, look around, welcome the people around you here for the first time. If you don't mind sharing with me or one of the ladies in the back at the table how you heard about the event later, just so we can do more of that. But we meet monthly, the third Tuesday of every month at 9 a.m. except for December. So, and the way the event operates, we have 2 speakers every month. We have an early stage company that shares about their company, and then they have an ask for the audience. And so they're going to crowdsource a solution. So you get to participate and help there. And then we have a seasoned entrepreneur that shares their crash and learn stories, lessons learned the hard way, not to be confused with crash and burn. But really excited to look around and see a lot of former crash and learn speakers in here. But we'll just jump right in now, and I will change the slides in a minute, but wanted to introduce Erica Thomas, a little bit about her background. She actually grew up in the Charlottesville area. She studied fashion and retail at Ohio State University, and since then worked in a number of industries: fair trade, retail, marketing, 4-H and other nonprofits, administration, and supporting small business owners, and really has a passion for ethical fashion and saw a way to combine a secondhand store with the circular economy with her own company. And so help me welcome Erica Thomas, and hello again, Consignment.
Thank you, Hope. Hey, everybody. I'm Erica. Thanks for having me. Darcy coached me a little bit, and he said to ask the question first so you guys can think about it while I'm presenting and sharing a little bit about Hello Again. So what I'm going to ask you guys today is, how do I position Hello Again Consignment to be an anchor destination in Crozet while also lifting up all of retail in the Crozet community? Got that? It's a lot. So I started Hello Again in May 2025 as one-day pop-up shops. It's my friend and I were driving by the only thrift store in Crozet, and we would see just tons of donations outside. And we were talking like, what else could there be in Crozet that would also be like fun and secondhand? So she helped me come up with a consignment shop. And I am usually one to jump right in and go full blown Sally on a project and an idea, but I decided for once to go slow. So I started with just the one-day pop-ups. Those were a lot of fun. Posted about 32 of them, mostly at small businesses around Crozet. I had built relationships with a couple different small business owners in Crozet through the Crozet Small Business Collaborative, which is something I help run. And it's just like a really nice collaborative group effort about small businesses in Crozet. And average monthly sales were around $1,600. So not too impressive, but I got to be away from my 2 small children every Saturday, which is a nice break. And then in April, I had the opportunity to take over a little bizarre basement storefront space in downtown Crozet. So in April, I moved in. It's 350 square feet. It's right in downtown Crozet, near Crozet Pizza. And we immediately saw sales go up. I'm only open on Fridays and Saturdays, again, trying to stick with the slow and grow kind of model. But it's been exciting to see a shift in those sales. And to paint more of a robust picture for you guys of Hello Again, I'm going to share 3 personas with you guys. So the first one is our customer, Laura. This is not a fully fictional or fully real person, but just to for privacy purposes. But Laura has 2 kids. She lives in Crozet. She's lived there for about 8 years. She lives in a house that's 1,800 square feet in one of the older neighborhoods in Crozet. She loves shopping secondhand. She does not want to deal with the thrift store. She doesn't want to, it's a little bit too messy, a little bit too disorganized. She wants to go into a store, not pay full price for something, but she knows what brands she likes. She likes classic brands like J. Crew and Madewell. And then she also kind of wants maybe a slumber party feel. Like she doesn't know if she looks good in this dress for her cruise to Costa Rica. So she pops out of the dressing room and asks the other shoppers. And then she likes to shop alone, but she does have 2 small kids. So what does she do with those wild animals when she has to go shopping? We have a tiny little marketplace in the back for the kids to play with. Laura is also a consignor, so she'll shop with us maybe once every 3 months, and when she has a special event to go to, or if she just a change of season and she needs a wardrobe refresh. So when she comes in, she's going to bring her bag of clothes to us to consign, and she has opted for, so we have 2 payout methods for consigners. You can either get a cash, which is 30% of all the final sales of your items, or you can get 50% in store credit. So Laura likes to shop at Hello Again, so she chooses the 50%. So she brings us a bag of clothes. She also goes shopping. We use her store credit, and that's like a true circular economy. Then there's Customer Robin. Customer Robin is a new customer for us. Robin was not coming to our one-day pop-ups, but all of a sudden, since being in our brick and mortar location in April, Robins are coming. She's retired. She's lived in Crozet for 5 years. She moved to Crozet to be closer to her grandkids and her son and his family. She likes brands like Democracy and Eileen Fisher. She'll spend on average $48 to $64 each time she comes in, and she's coming in every couple of weeks to see what's new. She's also, when she goes into Charlottesville, she'll stop at Natalie's Dressed to look for a little bit higher end pieces, but she never pays full price for an item, but she does like name brand cute things, and she likes a good deal, and she also likes the treasure hunt. And then our consignor. So our consignor is May. She is a young mom, has a couple kids. Her household income is probably over $200,000. She lives in Old Trail, the fancier neighborhood in Crozet. And she wants to feel good about getting rid of the things in her closet that she no longer wears. So she doesn't need the money, but she also likes to support local. She likes the idea of social, sustainable style and fashion. But she wants it to be super convenient. She would usually bring her things to Darling and Dashing when she was coming into town anyways. But if she has the opportunity to get this stuff out of the way faster, she's going to come do that right at Hello Again. So we make the process super easy for May. She gets 30% back. So whatever her items sell, she gets 30% cash back on all of that. And we keep 70%. We have a consignor portal so she can track along to see what has been selling. And again, super convenient, super easy. Sometimes, so May has been a consignor with us since the very beginning. She first opted for porch pickups, which we offer for $9 within 10 driving miles of Crozet. But now, since we have a brick and mortar, she can find us easily. She'll come in with her items. So I'm going to try to not stand on my soapbox too long about the, not necessarily pitfalls of Crozet, but the challenges, the opportunities. For those who have not been to Crozet or know much about it, Crozet has grown residentially a huge amount over the last 10 years. I believe population is up to around 10,000 people now. So we are also designated as a growth corridor by the county in the county planning. And what's interesting though, the residential is really dense, but the retail is missing. So people still don't think about staying and shopping in Crozet. They're like, well, I gotta go to Wegmans anyways, or I gotta go to Costco anyways. I might as well shop and run a couple more errands when I'm in Charlottesville. I was like, oh, I'm gonna actually go over to Waynesboro. That's 20 minutes away. I'm gonna go ahead and shop and do my shopping over there. So part of the challenge and the question I'm asking you guys today is how to make Crozet a destination for retail? How to make, can Hello Again play a part in that? So there's a couple commercial opportunities for the storefronts. They all have their challenges. There's two like really cool old buildings on the main street in Crozet, but they're just being sat on right now. The owner's not doing any of those. There's a beautiful new development in Ultra, which sees a lot of awesome foot traffic, but there's some major red flags and challenges with that location. And there's a couple new developments like in the works, but they're taking a while. So I've also been in communication with the folks at Music Today, and that is a large organization out in Crozet. They have thousands of empty, unused square feet of warehousing space. So I'm like, oh, okay, can we create like a metal crafters building vibe in Crozet? Is there an opportunity for some sort of incubator here? I don't know. I'm a classic small business owner, so my ideas can just keep going and going and going. So I'll have you guys help me reel that in. So again, if you guys could please help me, how do we position Hello Again to be an anchor retail destination in Crozet while lifting up all of the Crozet retail community?
Awesome. Thank you. Give her a hand. So who can help her solve for her question or ask? Who's got some thoughts? Fill in the back. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna run back there. Oh, okay, Meg's there.
Hi. You probably already know about this building. It's a huge building that used to be in the food business somehow. ConAgra, was it ConAgra?
Yeah, so that's the Music Today building.
And that just seems to be like a natural point of attraction. And you mentioned metal crafters in Waynesboro. And I noticed, I drive by there pretty often. What they're doing there seems to be picking up. I think you're on the right track. Just build off of something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, was wondering if you'd considered partnering with any of Western Albemarle student organizations, if they have like a fashion club, or even hosting, you could do like a shopping night with, like, you could have a mom who hosted a bunch of people at her house, do a consignment donation night or something like that. But I think Crozet is so deeply rooted in their communities that I think that would be a really interesting avenue to explore, growing your network within the Crozet area.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
One of the things that I think draws a lot of people to the downtown mall is the farmers market every Saturday. Because they're open in such specific time frames, I'm wondering about, like, first Saturday of every month, you organize all your Friendsville pop-ups and stuff like that, and have sort of like a Crozet retail small business festival celebration.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So down in the Richmond area, this parallel, I'm kind of thinking, a friend of mine owns a big warehouse and she consigns furniture. It's like second time around furniture. But my thought is she has vendors in this entire warehouse. It's all furniture. She has her own section of her own furniture that she sells. And then as far as this community network, you could have vendors where people bring in their clothing and have their little storefronts that are within the warehouse that can bring the community together. And it's still your business.
Right.
And you can still have your own storefront within the warehouse as well.
I have been wondering too if furniture and home decor would have a better draw, like if we create a circa out in Crozet, because these people are, a lot of folks in Crozet are redecorating their homes like every 4 years. I'm like, oh, we often just come pick your stuff up, but I wonder if there's a vendor aspect to that, and also
I can just picture like the same model with clothing and community members getting involved.
Well, thank you.
Maybe like facilitate a back to school, hand-me-down where everybody can bring and maybe like the hand-me-downs just change hands for free or whatever that the people do, but I think bring that whole kind of school train together,
Yeah.
and then whatever doesn't exchange in both your own site to like consign it in, and then you're aware, and like the mock clothes and stuff that aren't like they can go to you while they're bringing everything else to kind of shuffle to get ready for the school year.
Yeah, awesome. It's a great idea. Yeah, we hosted a couple like kids clothing swaps with another partner in town, and then life happens, but that's a great reminder. Yeah, even do a bigger scale.
If you're already connected to the small business community there, could you imagine branding a map that even includes like the antique store in Greenwood and Henley Farm and, you know, some of the things that
Yeah.
everything's very spread out, but,
Right.
you know, I feel like that would give people a template.
We've hosted these are all things that are like life happens. We're like, oh yeah, we were gonna do that. We host the Crozet Small Business Collaborative hosts the Yay Crozet Passport event every year, so I help organize that. We already have the beautiful map with the stops on it, but yes.
Along the, whoa, hello, I mean, my voice was already loud, seems excessive. So along the lines of what so many other people have highlighted is coming together in schools. What I've heard from so many different small cities is that our youth is really longing to have a consistent space that's safe, that they can go to. And we have so many young entrepreneurs coming up these days, and there's so much wisdom, even just like collectively in this room, that we could come together and create these spaces for youth to start asking things and not worrying so much about failure and seeing that that's an okay thing to experience, and it helps us grow. And something that is fun is the map, you know, bringing in adventure and like being like, where can we go, and make it something we can get tokens or something like that. Just being really creative, but consistency is so important in the spaces that we create for them.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that's cool.
Erica, if you could expound a little bit on you talked about the challenges of different space opportunities.
Yes.
And from my little bit of knowledge of Crozet,
Yeah.
they had put a big emphasis on redeveloping the square. And, okay.
I drank that Kool-Aid and it was supposed to happen this year. And then something with VDOT and bids, and now it's like maybe a 2 year delay. And yeah, so do I wait? So I keep taking advantage of my $600 a month, 350 square foot space and wait for a beautiful opportunity like that when there's supposed to be a green space and supposed to be weekly programming and a farmer's market. And I'm so excited for that. But yeah, do I wait for that?
What about, Old Trail? My assumption is highest rent terms.
So we did a couple pop-ups in Old Trail and awesome foot traffic. So many dog walkers, joggers, people out on bike rides with their kids. There's a huge challenge with the management of that new space. And so.
The last one was, what about across the street from Harris Theater?
And that's seen a huge shift in foot traffic ever since. So Crozet Seafood Supply moved in there, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, and they've done a really good job. That used to be a rotating door of different restaurants, and they've done a really good job. I get a little bit nervous about foot traffic there, but it does seem to be on the upswing. Yeah, I know, because do I need to be next to the cute boutique, but where I'm next to now, but there's one cute boutique in Crozet, and they get a ton of foot traffic, and it's across from the Artisan Depot, and it's near Crozet Pizza. Do I need to stay in the thick of that, or I have to make something super flashy or dynamic if I go elsewhere?
I wish I had wisdom to share, but
I don't have it,
thank you
so
for sharing.
So any other ideas? Your contact information is right here. Definitely stay connected to Erica. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, and give them. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all for your engagement there and supporting Erica and her ideas. And now we will transition to the Crash and Learn speaker. So I'm excited to introduce Dennis Howe and a little bit about his background. He is an entrepreneur, business operator, and technology leader based in Richmond, Virginia. And after immigrating from Taiwan at the age of 10, he grew up more or less in the Chester area and then attended VCU for economics. He began his entrepreneurial journey building companies at a flea market. Building computers at a flea market, but then has since founded, scaled, and exited multiple successful companies. His ventures have included a golf course weather alert system adapted by the PGA Tour, a healthcare compliance consulting firm, and the turnaround of multiple medical practices. He has spent his career helping organizations align people, processes, and technology to drive growth and efficiency, and today is the founder of Dragnet Secure, a cybersecurity and compliance firm, and CEO of MCH Concepts, which is a growth equity firm that helps businesses solve operational, security, and digital transformation challenges. Fun facts, there are many fun facts about Dennis, but just to name a few. He speaks about 4 languages and a couple of dialects, so English was not his first language. Ironically, his wife teaches and supports ESL, but she did not teach him English. He made a point to point out. But he originally actually wanted to be a concert pianist and was a substitute member for the Richmond Symphony and is a 6-time Ironman finisher and is about to complete a 7th one in about 6 weeks. So very excited to hear from you, Dennis. Please help me give a hand for Dennis Howe.
Thank you both. Thanks for having me here today. If my voice sounds nasally, it's because I'm always having sinus infection as well as ear infection while swimming. If you see me pace around a lot, it's because I have to keep moving because I ran 8 miles this morning before I came here, and I got to swim 4,000 meters tonight, 6 weeks away from next Ironman. I met with Darcy as well, just like Erica did it, and kind of come up with something. So I already heard from a couple other people say that this is a crash and burn, right? Conversation, but no, it's not really crash and burn, it's crash and burn. I'll go in a little bit about my journey, but then, I'll try to wrap it up quickly so you guys can ask questions and stuff like that. As Hope said, English is not my first language. So I think that was really good for me, learning not just different languages, obviously, but also going through adversity. And I think that's something that's really important for entrepreneurs is to go through adversity, all right? Adversity is the biggest and the best education that you can get, right? And I feel like that through adversity, we learn more about ourselves than we learn through success, if you will, right? Because we all wake up in the morning wanting, expecting success. Success is what we expect. But when we have adversity, I think that's where we really learn. So I started my journey in entrepreneurship when I was 19 years old. I remember sitting in the den of my parents' house, telling my parents that I'm not going to go to college. And as you can imagine, as an Asian, if you want to go to college and you're not a doctor or you're not a lawyer, you're screwed. You're nobody, right? So my mom is one of those tiger moms. I'm sure you guys seen those shows and movies or whatever it is about, how Asian parents are. So my mom was like just in tears. My mom was like, "What are you doing? Why are you not going to college? You got accepted to a great college, and you always quit. You quit in things that you do all the time, like going to music school. I went to music school when I was 14. So I was accepted to North Carolina School of Arts as a concert pianist. That's what I wanted to be. And, my parents were so excited. And then I picked up violin. It's a secondary instrument. My parents were even more excited about that. So my mom was just bawling. And I said, I really want to go into business for myself. I don't want somebody to control my destiny. So my dad, of course, sat around. My dad's a more real quiet one and says, okay, so how are you gonna start this? How are you gonna do this? And I said, it's easy. I'm gonna start in the basement, just like everybody else does. So I did convert their basement into a Taiwanese IT factory, right? Because all the parts are made in Taiwan at the time. So I started my business in my parents' basement. And on a weekend, I would go to the flea market. So back in the days, we had this huge flea market in Midlothian. And I would build computers for people. And that's how I got my start. In fact, to the point where I didn't even want to go to college. My parents said, no, you have to go to college. So I took the route of going to community college and then moved into VCU and finished at VCU. It was the best decision I think that I could have made of having a business at the same time going to college, because I was able to apply a lot of what I learned in real life into class, which made it more interesting. In fact, I hated school. School was something that I just hated. For my parents, I did get a BS degree, right? I guess everybody says Bachelor of Science. I call it BS degree because it's just economics. It's just a checkbox, right? That to learn it, but I did do that. So I started a business when I was 19. Did really well. I bought my first business or partner with somebody when I was 23 years old. I'm sorry, not 23, 20 years old. And we grew that business and sold it when I was 23. So the business was a printing business where back in the days, we fixed a lot of huge laserjet printers. So for the people that's a little more established here, I don't want to say older, more seasoned, you probably remember the big monitors that you have to carry up the stairs, and so is the laserjet printers. Back in the days, laserjet printers are really, really expensive, right? I mean, you're talking about $3,000-$4,000 a pop. So I knew this person who was fixing printers for us, for our customers, and I went to him and we worked the deal out, and he really needed business help. He doesn't like to run business. I love to do sales. So I said, hey, you know what? Let's just partner together and do this together. And what we ended up finding out was that we had contracts with major companies, and we were able to go in and buy, contract the printers repair out with these huge companies. And we would say, hey, for $200 a year or $150 a year, depending on the brand, we will maintain the printer and also include the parts. But what I did find out later, and that went really well, what I found out later is I could go to Defense General Supply, which is in Richmond. That's where the surplus is of all the government. You know, government can't just sell you the printers, right? I mean, if they buy these printers, after 5 years in contract, they have to go do surplus, auction off and sell it. So I would go in and buy these huge lots of printers, and these are thousands of dollars a printer, for auctioning for $100 for 50 printers. And I would bring it back to the office and we would part it, and we sold the parts piece by piece. All right. So back in the days, these laser printers, if the motherboard dies, those were $700-$800 per board. So imagine I have 50 of them sitting on a shelf that I pay less than $100 or $200 for, right? And I'll sell it for $600. So interestingly, I sold that business when I was 23 to a company out in Wisconsin, which they actually sold that parts company to HP eventually. And so we were one of the largest parts repair shop in Richmond for a printer. So I sold my first business when I was 23, and my take was $5 million. Okay, so this was back in 2024. Now, what do you think a 24-year-old is going to do with $5 million? Nothing good. So this is where the crash and burn comes in, okay? So don't do it. I started investing in a lot of businesses, buying cars, right? I remember buying my first Z3, BMW Z, or Z4 actually, because that was a cool car and I always wanted it. I learned how to drive a stick shift on that car. You know, nothing good can come out of giving $5 million to a 23-year-old. It just, nothing is good. So I invested heavily in a lot of different businesses. I've got friends that come to me who wants to, need help with business or need money. I always lend them money. Money was no object to me, right? at that age. By the time I got to 26, I was $700,000 in debt. And to top it off, the $700,000 was all on credit card. Because back in the days, you know how easy it is to get credit card and credit, right? At 30% interest rate. Okay. So at that point in time, I invested in many different businesses, including the PGA, the weather system business I was in. And I also built computer. In fact, I used to come to Charlottesville a lot. We built computer for the blind people. So I would come here to the state of Virginia has this blindness program where if you want to hire blindness people, the state will provide the computers to these individuals. So we had that contract, so we're making good money there, but I also invested in a lot of different things that did not work out. So in 2007, we consolidated all those businesses to what is called Proactive Information, which interestingly was the company I just sold last year, exited last year. So one of the biggest lessons I learned during that process was not to give up. I had a really good friend. In fact, he's from Charlottesville area. He was my client, one of my clients, and through one of my business ventures. And I really looked up to him. We really had a good relationship. He was about 30 years older than I am. He was ex-Phil Mars, cost accounting guy. So I asked him to come in and evaluate my business at the time. So he told me, he says, you know, I'm looking at your books and I don't think you'll make it. So I think that you should file for both personal bankruptcy, because at that point my house was leveraged. I mean, I had two mortgages going on the house. I was just recently married. So she said you can file for personal bankruptcy, which they won't take your car away and you will still get to keep your house, and also file for bankruptcy in your business too. So when he said that to me, it kind of dawned on me that, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. That's the first time I felt scared in a long time. And, you know, at that point, you know, nothing, you know, you feel impenetrable, right? You feel like, hey, nothing can hurt you. So that was the first time that I really felt that I was scared. But my friend came to me and told me and said, if you file bankruptcy, this is what's going to happen. But if you don't, this is what may happen. So what do you want to do? So I took a weekend to think about it. And I came back and told him and said that I got myself in trouble. I won't get myself out of trouble. Because filing for bankruptcy is no different for me at that point, committing suicide. It's just basically financial suicide. That's how I looked at it. And I think that committing suicide is just leaving your problem to somebody else. So I decided to embark on this challenge of coming out of debt myself. He told me that if I'm willing to let everybody go and not take a paycheck, he would not take a paycheck as well. And he would go in on this venture with me, 2% of the times. Okay. We set ourselves a goal of getting out of debt in 5 years. Remember, it's $700,000 worth of debt, all in credit card, pretty much. I put everything on credit card, so I was paying 30% interest on top of that on those credit cards. We went to work, and it was right around 2007, 2008 when that happened. So all of you guys know what happened in 2007, 8, right? I mean, everybody in here knows what happened then. But we paid it off in 4.5 years. Everything was paid off in 4.5 years. And that was probably the most rewarding time of my life, because I feel like not only did I get myself out of trouble, but I also learned so much through him, right? I learned how to read a P&L. I learned how to, look at a balance sheet. I learned how to manage money, which is probably the most important thing for entrepreneurs, is how to manage money and manage cash flow, right? Just because you have cash doesn't mean that you have the cash to spend it. And I think that was the biggest challenge I learned. But the other thing I learned is that I have the capability to get myself in trouble, but I also have the capability to get myself out of trouble. And ever since that, I never looked back. So, from that point on forward, as Hope said, I exited 12 different businesses. 8 of them was very successful. 2 of them, was break even at best, and the other 2, I did crash and burn a little bit. But through all in all, I feel like that 4 years of working with him, understanding who I am, was the most beneficial and the most rewarding educational experience that you could have as an entrepreneur. Fast forward to 2019 and 2020, we also faced another challenge, right? I mean, everybody here knew what happened in 2020, right? And I was prepared for that challenge because by that time, in all the business I had reserved up to 1 year worth of payroll for all my employees. At that time, I just started expanding again. We started getting into medical business because I was doing a lot of technology work for medical companies, and I knew a lot of doctors. And these doctors are, they're pretty leveraged, right? I mean, doctors dealing with insurance and have a lot of data, and these are small practices. So I befriended a lot of good friends, and one of them asked me if I come and help them out, which I did. And from that point forward, we ended up buying 2 dermatology clinics, 2 family doctor practice, a radiology practice, and we were actually in talks of buying another one before we decided to call it quits and sell it all. And during that time, those challenges that I had in COVID, or the challenge I learned in back in 08, 09, really came in handy in 2020 during the COVID period. And COVID period presents a different challenge, but we as a company continue to grow. Up to the point we had 250 employees, and we did really well. So one of the lessons I learned is, again, never give up. The other thing that I learned through that process is that we as entrepreneurs all have ideas, right? We all have ideas. I'm sure you guys all heard Mark Cuban saying, idea is cheap, execution is where it's at, right? I mean, that's the biggest lesson that he always, or comment that he always made. And for us, idea is an acronym. So we're in technology, we love acronyms. So we always will, anything we can put an acronym on there, we will. So idea for us in our business, and we have it always posted in all of our company, all the locations that we operated, was I stands for intentionality, D stands for discipline, E stands for efficiency, and A stands for assertiveness. And I think what I learned was the focus of I and D, which is being intentional and being disciplined. And if I look back in my journey, I wasn't intentional on why I was doing what I was doing, right? I had $5 million, I was flush with cash, and I was ready to just go conquer the world. Nothing was scaring me, right? And I think that's an awesome mentality, but you also have to be very intentional. And one of the things I learned in that process and through all this year is, be intentional about what your exit will look like in your business. I think a lot of entrepreneurs do not think about what an exit may be. And I have a good friend of mine that tells me we all exit. The thing is, do you choose to exit at a time? Death is an exit, right? Do you choose to exit, or do you exit because of death? But we all exit. So make sure that we think about exit with intentionality. And then discipline is not to weave around, be disciplined and be consistent, right? You either are consistently good or be consistently bad. I'm a golfer, and if you're consistently bad, at least you know where the ball is going, and you know how many balls you're going to lose, and you can predict that. But if you start weaving balls around, it's really hard for you to fix, or get through the round. So I think intentionality and discipline is the 2 biggest things I learned from my career and through that time between 2008 and 9 all the way to 2012. The last thing I will say is that what a great time to be an entrepreneur. And I see a lot of young entrepreneur people in here. It's a great time to be an entrepreneur. What an exciting time with AI, with all the things that we have going on in the world today. And I also do believe that because of AI, it's going to make us better entrepreneurs because we have to think more, right? We have to outthink the next person because the technology is on level the playing field for a lot of people. So, make sure you're creative, be curious, and believe in yourself. I think a lot of time when things get tough, we tend to retreat. And I think when things get tough, you should move forward. I don't get into Ironman competition thinking if I'm not going to finish and what happens if I don't finish. I always think what it would look like finishing and trying to challenge myself each and every day to do better, right? So as an entrepreneur, I think that's the biggest thing that I learned is to always motivate myself to move forward. And those are the biggest lesson I have learned. That's it.
Amazing. Thank you.
Well, maybe it's on.
Wow, yeah, you were great. What a powerful story as well. Thank you so much for sharing so candidly. Now we can open it up to Q&A. So who has some questions for Dennis?
No questions.
No, they won't. It takes them a second. Yeah. There's always a little pause. So we're going to use the mic just because we're recording, but Maeve is right there.
Thank you so much for sharing. Can you tell us a bit more about your exit strategy for this business that you sold last year and how it went?
I'll start by saying that everyone I exit is different. What's different? I think it all depends on, it's not just a financial reason, right? I always have a financial number in my head of what it will look like. But every one of them is different because the time of your life and the reasoning and why you do it is different, right? What was your question again? Sorry.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what your exit strategy was and how it actually went?
Yeah. So for the last business, I was in the technology business. My exit strategy was to maximize as much as I can. I was in the MSP business, which is managed service provider. We did IT work for big corporations and so on and so forth. And I feel that AI is going to become a threat for us. I feel that how we operate and how we did things, AI is going to change that. So my strategy was two things. Either I join another company and get really big or become what's called platform company. So there's a lot of private equity who come in and inject money and they want to consolidate 3 or 4 companies together. And then, name me as the CEO, for example, and then we will continue to grow through acquisition. So that was another strategy. Ultimately, I want to get out altogether. I feel like at that time, 12 exits was enough. I was ready to retire, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm back into the game. But the strategy was for me to just get out altogether. But I also want to take care of my employees. I have really loyal employees. Some of my employees have been there for 12 or 15 years. In fact, most of them have. And I have really good clients. Most of our clients were here for 7+ years. So the strategy was, okay, how do I make sure that I bring them opportunity, but at the same time I cash out? So I went through a lot of financial calculation and really, really understood what I want to get out, right? It's not just financially, but emotionally, and also what my next chapter was going to be. All right, so I got out of that I ended up selling to a family office who already have a CEO who was growing. So currently I'm still sort of consulting for them on the side. And they were really a family business that wanted to grow and grow slowly and not like private equity where they want to do 2 or 3 a year, if you will. And I felt that was better for our employees. So ultimately I made the decision to go into a smaller family firm. Yeah. Answer your question? Okay. By the way, I'm back at work because my wife said, I got back from Europe. So currently I do own Dragnet Cybersecurity, but I also own a company, a data platform company. So we do a lot of AI. So we're a data platform company using AI to help companies surface business insights and opportunities. And I got back from Europe because our corporate headquarters is international headquarters in Prague. So my wife says, you need to get back to work. I said, why do I need to get back to work? I'm retired. I want to spend time with you. He said, because from 8 to 8, this whole house is my space. You need to get out. So that's why I'm out here. So thank you both for getting me out of the house.
I guess the mentor, I don't remember what you called him, but back when you were 25 years old and you had that gentleman that partnered with you to help you strategize scale debt, how did that relationship come to be? And what do you feel like his kind of intention was behind that relationship?
Yeah. I always feel deep relationship with people. I think that's one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially today, they don't do that is they kind of say, hey, if they have no use for me or I can't leverage them for something where it's not going to help my business, I'll walk away. But I always built deep relationship with everybody I meet. And so he knew me really well as a friend, and we kept the communication. And when I called him up, he just kind of said, yeah, I'll come and take a look at it for you, right? So he wasn't even a business partner. He just came and helped me. He said, as long as you're not taking a paycheck, I wouldn't take a paycheck as well. So, interesting story though, is that, I did kind of sort of, put on a spreadsheet. I knew how much that he was asking for and I knew how much that, he was worth. So I did, once I started having a paycheck, I did put that in escrow and kind of knew about it. When I sold the business, which he helped me out, was the most current exit, I actually went to his house and gave him the check for the 4 years that he worked for. To pay him back. Because without him, I wouldn't have sold the company that I have today. Right? I wouldn't be standing here today. That's like it.
All right, we got a couple questions coming.
Do you want me to do this one? Or-
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. So thanks for sharing. I'm really curious, the crash and burn moment for one of the ventures that you did, how'd you know it wasn't time to dig into resilience and discipline and put your, really dig in on that versus, okay, it's time to move on? What was that moment? Or what were your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's tough. I think as an entrepreneur who doesn't like to give up, I'm always going to dig in first. Okay. But I also always have a red line, right? So I learned. One of the things I didn't do the first time was kind of like a gambler, right? I just keep on going back to ATM. Keep on going back to well, because I'm going to win the next hand, right? So I think one of the things that I try to do for myself now is I always have a line. I will not fall below this much money I'm putting in, or I would not do X. There's always something that I will say, that I'll back myself and say, that's a line that I will not cross. And that line typically is not like when you're leveraged so much that you can't go out and get more cash, right? I mean, you can still eat, and be comfortable and be safe. So I'll always draw a line where I feel like, okay, this is sort of like, I'm not going to get close to that line. So that's what I've learned. I guess gut has a lot to do with it, I do believe that if your gut tells you that you should do something, you should probably listen to it. 9 times out of 10, it's probably right. And I think that, again, entrepreneur, especially young ones like myself when I was 23 years old, that doesn't compute in your head, right? That doesn't come in your, you still think about it. So, but I think trusting your gut has a lot to do with that too. So.
You said 12 different businesses. So my question is, how do you think about the skill required before you enter the business? Is it more of a numbers calculation for you? Do you think like I'll learn it after I'm in there? How do you approach the opportunity? I can't imagine you're an expert in 12 different things, but maybe you are, and that would be amazing.
So a couple of things I do now, I can tell you the 12th one is a lot different than the first one, right? I never listened to my dad with this, the gut, right? Don't get into business where you don't know how the revenue is coming in. And I did get into some business where I don't know how the revenue is coming in. So dermatology was one of them. It was 2020. I had this opportunity to buy this dermatology clinic. It was a VC-backed dermatology clinic. They want to get out. And they sold it to me. Believe it or not, this is a crazy story, for $50,000. Everything, all in, they just want to get out. It was 2020, everything was shut down, they just want to get out. They left me over $300,000 cash in the bank. Isn't that crazy? I mean, in fact, I had to do a double book, a double take, right? And then, on top of it, we got funding from government during COVID. If you're a medical entity, we got funding. We got over $1 million worth of funding. So right away, I made money right away. I think my first one and the last one is all very different. And I think I go in now looking at it from the lens of, is it something that I can bring value to, right? If I can bring value to it, then I probably are not going to be in it. It's like I said, the medical practice, going back to what you were asking, is that I put a mask on to walk in to learn when you cut somebody and the margin that you clear, what is the code? And if you go from a 99213 to 99214, that's an extra $75. So, you know, I really went in and really understood the business. So every single business in the last 12 I've been in, I really truly operated and become a student. And I think that's the difference today for me versus a PE or a VC potentially, or people who just invest. I am genuinely interested in what's going on in that business. So I go in with the, you know, lens of, I need to be a student of that business, a student of that industry, that field. So I always go in with that mindset. I didn't know anything about billing. So one of the business I exited was during that time we created our own billing company. We had 18,000 active patients that came through a year. So you can imagine the velocity and the call. So we created a call center as well as a billing business. And I learned the billing and I understood the billing and data behind it and how to get money and leverage insurance company. We did it selling. That's one of my fault. That business that we created to a friend of mine in Chicago. So I always go in the mindset that I am a student of it and I will learn. And if I can't learn it and I'm failing, going back to that gentleman's question, then I get the hell out. I don't stay in it. I don't continue to put more money into it. I get out. That answer your question?
Thanks for sharing your story, Dennis. As a young entrepreneur, it's really cool to kind of hear that and learn. My question was kind of about your kind of athletic background, like with the PGA and everything. And I guess I kind of just wanted to know, like being like in the symphony and kind of growing, how did you kind of get into doing Ironmans? Was that a way to challenge yourself? Like, you just speak more to that?
I told Hope this. A woman will talk me into anything. I was already a marathon runner, so currently I do coach the marathon and half marathon training team for Sports Factors. I loved Ironman once I got involved in it because to me it's a strategy game, right? I have to understand nutrition. I have to understand the mechanics of it, you know, just like what that gentleman asked. When I do anything, I always become a student of that. So I worked in a bike shop just because I had to learn how to fix my own bike for a summer, just for free, just to learn. I'm actually a certified, I could be a certified Ironman coach, but I took all the training classes, but I decided I didn't want to coach anybody, so I never took the test. But I love the Ironman because it's about pushing myself. It's about pushing the boundary of what I can do. But also at the same time, it takes a lot of discipline. And that's what I feel like it kind of brings me to that discipline part that I talked about earlier. So, and you know, like I said, when you're 140 miles in, you know, what are you going to do? Cry? Sit on the side of the road and cry? Or, damn it, you're 6 miles away, finish the race. Shut up and just finish the race, how I think. And so I think it does bring a lot of sort of business aspects of pushing through and all that stuff, you know, by doing Ironman. So that's why I love doing Ironman. It sucks though when you're training.
2 questions. First one's maybe a little quicker. When you were looking at that 700,000 or so debt load, what made you look at it and say this is possible? This is like practical to address versus, you know, I got in this hole so quickly. What made it practical possible?
Yeah, being naive and young and stupid has a lot to do with that. You don't think about it, right? I mean, it's not something that you think about. You know, it's more of a reaction of saying, hey, I have family, you know, and I just had newborns. I just need to push through. So I think that was a lot of it. If I look back, do I have the courage to do that again? I don't know. But when you're young and stupid, you tend to have more courage, right? Than you know, that you will otherwise have. So
Fair enough. And then probably probably going back to the first business, I think you grew, scaled. Do you have any tips, thoughts that came from that, especially for scaling a technical or like more involved business, especially if you're starting from like an owner operator, few employees to something where you might have tens, 50s of employees to really scale it?
Yeah, a couple of things I've learned through that. One is really build relationships. I think that young entrepreneurs today sometimes forget that relationship really is the business, right? People buy from people they like. You know, I think product's important. I think what you sell and what you have in the imagination is great, but people buy from people they like. The second thing is leverage your vendors and your relationship around you. I think that's so important, right? So, for example, I did one of the business I sold was a bar, and this is back early in the days too. So we were doing distribution of bar, basically buy parts, other people's part, kind of bundle together, and we sell it, right? And when you buy parts and it's sitting out, you build it, you send it out, you have to get cash flow back with the AR, right? I mean, that AR gets really expensive. So the conventional wisdom is go out and borrow money to bridge that gap. I never borrowed any money. In fact, I still have zero debt. After that $700,000, I have zero debt. So I guess I did borrow money, but leverage your vendors, right? Because your vendor wants to grow with you. You know, they have a reason for your success. So if you're successful, they become successful too. And they will lend you money easily, right? By giving you longer AR terms. So instead of 30 days, it'll be 45 days. One of our vendors, for example, we had a $400,000 credit line with them. 0% for 65 days. You can't get that from a bank without giving your DNA, the drop of blood, your arm, and all that stuff, right? So leverage your vendor. Your vendor and the relationship you build is going to take you further than probably the product that you have.
Last question from Bo.
So I guess that when you look back at your 23-year-old self, there's some things that you bought that you say that was really silly. But what are 2 or 3 things that you bought that you feel like, wow, that was actually not a bad use of my money?
Yeah. My house that I bought back in 23, 24. You know, at that time, if you're walking, breathing, you can get credit, right? So I bought believe it or not, a 2,700 square foot home in the Midlothian area for $135,000. So that was part of not filing for bankruptcy or whatever, right? So that was one thing I bought that I thought was a great investment. I guess I didn't buy her, but my wife, I think that's a great investment. Yeah, probably those 2 things. I mean, I don't know that I have anything at that time that I would have bought with. I mean, I had one, right? I mean, after the $5 million, those are probably the 2 most important things that I think I can think about.
Awesome. Well, I don't know how to fix this, but give Dennis a hand. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We really appreciate you running this morning and still driving over an hour, so I appreciate that. Well, we'll see if I can get this thing, the technology working, but in the meantime, we're gonna start closing out with announcements. And how announcements work is that you have the opportunity to share if your company is hiring or if there's any events that you'd like the room to know about. So we're going to start with our partner organizations. We'll start with MAVE and the SBDC.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Maeve. I'm a communications and events coordinator with the Central Virginia Small Business Development Center, but that's a lot of words, so you might just refer to us as CVSBDC. We are right across the street in the Carter Bank building, and we offer free one-on-one business advising to entrepreneurs of any industry at any stage, whether you just have an idea or you've been in it for 20 years and you're ready to sell and retire. We have a team of advisors who are ready and willing to help you out and let you know what you need to know, get you where you need to be. And all of our advising is free of charge, and we also do events and webinars and things like that. In Charlottesville and the surrounding counties. And the main thing I want to plug today is just if you are interested in taking advantage of our resources or wanting to know what our office is doing as far as webinars go, I would suggest you sign up for our newsletter if you are not already. It goes out the first and third Tuesday of every month. And that includes not just our events and resources, but surrounding area events and resources, things that our partner organizations are doing, in general, small business resources and updates and news, and you put grant information in there as well. And then also you can find our updates and happenings on our social media pages. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can find us, Central VA, SVBC is Instagram, and then LinkedIn and Facebook are just Central Virginia Small Business Development Center. So if you are interested in getting to know more about what we do and staying up to date on what we're offering and what events are coming up, I suggest you follow us there. And then if you have any questions, my email's up there. You can reach out to me, and also take advantage of our advising, free, all you can eat, team of experts ready to help you. Thanks, guys.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Gibbons. I'm Operations Coordinator for CIC, Community Investment Collaborative. We are a local nonprofit that serves under-resourced entrepreneurs in the Charlottesville and Albemarle areas, as well as Culpeper, Orange, and Southern Virginia. What I want to talk to you guys about today is our entrepreneur workshop. It's our capstone program that we offer twice a year in each of our service areas. It's a 16-week course that teaches business fundamentals from the ground up. We find that a lot of folks who join us have the passion, they have the skill, the drive that's needed to start their particular business, but not many of us are born knowing how to run a business. And so that's where this workshop comes in. If you have any questions about the workshop, or if you'd like to apply, I'll be at the table for a little bit longer after we wrap up. There's a QR code where you can apply for the program. And if you have any other questions about our other services, including financing, networking, other educational opportunities, feel free to reach out to me at my email address there. I'm more than happy to get you connected with the right person or the right service.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and thank you. And I am repping for the CBSE, Charlottesville Business Innovation Council. I'm the secretary and just a volunteer, and a couple of announcements. I highly recommend getting on the newsletter, which you can actually sign up for on the back or on C-ville Innovation, which is connected to Tracy's email, cvilleinnovation.org. You have the opportunity to sign up for the newsletter there, but it comes out once a week and tells about events such as the Innovation Mixer is an opportunity to just meet and mingle various entrepreneurs. And please note, it's always the second Tuesday, but please note in July, it's going to be the first Tuesday, July 7th. So definitely make that adjustment, July 7th. And it's actually a collab with the UVA iLab, and there's going to be complimentary apps and drink specials, and we don't usually have the apps, so come and eat them up. But go ahead and RSVP just so we can make sure we have enough. And then this event is the third Tuesday of July, same time and place. And then also just kind of save the date for the tech tour, which is November 12th. The tech tour is, I believe this is the 22nd annual tech tour, but basically students from around the area get together and have the opportunity to visit different tech companies in one day. Each student gets a visit too. And so there's sponsoring opportunities for that. But also if your company would like to be a company to host some students that day for a small window, then there's opportunities on CVIC's website, cvilleinnovation.org, to express interest, or if you can't figure that out, just message me and I'll make the connection to the right person. So now we'll open up the floor if your company is hiring, or if you would like to make an announcement of any sort of event, then you may do so. And just project if I won't run the mic around necessarily. So, but go ahead and stand up and let us know. Go ahead, Stephen.
Cycle, you're doing a community electronic waste recycling drive on Saturday, July 18th. We typically work with businesses, so we do allow drop-offs in our warehouse. For this event on Saturday, we will also be donating money to C2, Years for Kids, for everything that comes in. that day. So controlrecycle.com.
Yeah, and actually, Erica was a Piedmont Pitch finalist. Steven's company actually won that pitch, so congrats to Steven, yeah. But he's also been an early stage speaker and he was Secretary of Electronics. And so upon demand, we can 1 month like have a bin here and collect electronics as well. Okay, who else? Go ahead.
My name is Victoria. I am a second coach for New Hampshire, and I help them use their business revenue and use their cash flow to use their data and turn it into more personal ways so they can pay off debt and everything. I am actually supposed to get an event this Thursday at Eastwood Library for women founders have open conversations similar to what things bigger for us to help us normalize talking about these things, normalize the things we're going through, because it's so easier when you can navigate these things. So if you're interested for that event this Thursday at Eastwood at 5:30, come see me at the Eastwood and
Awesome, thank
she
you.
also has a big podcast.
And she has a great podcast. Okay, who else? Go ahead.
I'm one of the president of the box. 2 years back, Steve and Jennifer lost their son, but autism while he's riding his bike in the Maryland. And so they've done bikes to the beach every year since to raise money for children and all the disabilities including autism. And so that ride is happening this Friday, and they're fundraising. It's not my company, but I'm a bike rider. I'll be riding miles for that. If you're interested in being supporting that like initiative, please stop by and say hello. I'll share the website.
Amazing. Awesome. Cool. Thank you for letting us know. Go ahead.
Property management and host a real estate investor education event twice a year. It's mostly on the same day. All we were meeting for our last event in April, doing it again in October, and from referrals to all the that we hired, 5% of the last 6 months. Next slide.
Yeah, I attended that. It was great. Yeah, it was fun. Anybody else? All right. Yep, one more. Okay.
Sure. My name is Us. I'm the founder of Global Resources for Men. And on Wednesday, I'll be having a live conversation over Zoom for guys and when they're struggling, when they break trust with themselves, break the word to yourself, and how that impacts you and how to support them. My friend Jake LaRue, who's a worker in the lake.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so as we wrap up, I want to, first of all, again, thank our speakers, Erica and Dennis, who really appreciated you guys sharing and learned a lot. And I will put the rotating back up here so you can see their contact information to get back in touch with them. We will be back here the 3rd Tuesday of July, and we have this space available. I did also want to thank Code-Based Co-working again for allowing us to utilize the space along with our partners. DJG Communications, which is Darcy Gentleman, helps coach our speakers and just help prep them, and then Design Clarity as well. So we just appreciate all the organizations that come together to make this happen. Thank you so much, Rich. And we are able to be in here till about 11, so feel free to mingle if you'd like. A tour of the co-working space. Rachel is in the back waving, and so you can meet her back there and she'll go ahead and give you a tour of the building if you'd like to see that. And we are low on coffee. This was a great turnout. I might have to up the coffee, but I think one of those still has maybe a little bit of coffee in there. So if you really are junky and need some more, we're going to grab it first. But with that, you guys have a great rest of your day.